future nurses, in today's video, we're going to discuss how to care for children with congestive heart failure. First, we're going to talk about the nature of the condition and how it manifests. Then we're going to apply the nursing process and talk about what we can do as the nurse to help the child. So let's just jump right in. Congestive heart failure is a condition in which the heart does not pump as well as it should, causing blood and other body fluids to build up in organs and tissues. This fluid builds up because the heart isn't able to circulate and distribute enough blood to cells in the body. And remember that blood is what supplies the body with oxygen and nutrients. So if blood isn't circulating to cells in the body adequately, the body isn't really being supplied with the oxygen and nutrients that it needs. Congestive heart failure is a condition that places an increased workload on the ventricles of the heart. It may be seen in children with a congenital heart disorder, rheumatic fever, or Kawasaki disease. Signs and symptoms of congestive heart failure may differ depending on the child's age. But first, we're going to go over the signs and symptoms of CHF seen in infants. The infant with CHF may breathe hard, tire easily, have rapid respirations, and grunt when they breathe out. Other signs and symptoms include nasal flaring, sternal retractions, periorbital edema, rapid weight gain, and fatigue. And this fatigue often manifests itself through feeding problems. So, for example, the infant may become diaphoretic during feedings, or they may only consume about 1 to 2 ounces of the bottle but soon become hungry again. Also, the infant with congestive heart failure may look stressed when lying flat, but appear more comfortable when they're being held upright over an adult's shoulder. Tachycardia is one of those first signs and symptoms you see in both infants and children with congestive heart failure, which is why there's a star mark next to it. And the reason the child with CHF may have tachycardia is because the heart is beating faster as it tries to increase the flow of blood throughout the body. Now, signs of CHF in older children. Again, tachycardia is one of those first signs and symptoms of CHF seen in both infants and older children. Other signs of CHF seen in older children are failure to gain weight, weakness, fatigue, restlessness. The child may seem irritable, pale, mottled, or cyanotic. They may have tachypnea or dyspnea, coughing with bloody sputum. There may also be some edema and liver enlargement present. Okay, so how is congestive heart failure diagnosed? Well, CHF is primarily diagnosed using the clinical signs we discussed in the previous 2 slides. Chest radiographs, electrocardiographs, as well as echocardiograms may be used to diagnose congestive heart failure. Chest radiographs may reveal an enlarged heart. The electrocardiography may reveal ventricular hypertrophy. And the echocardiogram may be done to note the child's cardiac function. Okay, so treatment. Treatment of congestive heart failure includes the use of cardiac glycosides to improve cardiac function. Usually, digoxin is the cardiac glycoside of choice. Diuretics in conjunction with fluid restriction will relieve some of that excess fluid. CHF is also treated by decreasing the workload on the heart. So as the nurse, it's important that you reinforce the importance of bed rest. Also, I want to talk more about digoxin. Digoxin is a drug used to improve cardiac efficiency by slowing the heart rate and strengthening contractility. At the beginning of digoxin therapy, large doses are given to build the digoxin in the blood up to a therapeutic level. This process is known as digitalization. After digitalization occurs, a maintenance dose is usually given to the child daily. Of course, you always want to take the client's apical pulse before giving digoxin, but we're actually going to talk more about that when we apply the nursing process. ACE inhibitors such as captopril or enalapril may also be administered to treat CHF. These are drugs given to the child to increase vasodilation. Other treatment measures include elevating the child's head, small frequent feedings, which would be good for giving the child the nutrients he or she needs while still minimizing energy output. Oxygen. Oxygen is also administered to increase oxygenation to tissues. Because remember, this is a condition in which oxygen isn't being supplied to tissues and body cells adequately. Okay, ladies and gents, it's ad pie time. So first, we're going to assess, because how can we plan nursing care if we don't know anything about our patient, right? We can start our assessment by interviewing the child's caregiver. In this interview, we can gather information about the child's illness, other underlying conditions, as well as signs and symptoms. As the nurse, you should ask the caregiver if the child has had any problems feeding, any episodes of rapid respirations, trouble breathing, or if the child has had any episodes of turning blue or pale. Assess weight gain and ask if he or she has been having any difficulty lying flat, and make sure you are maintaining a non-judgmental environment. The last thing you want to do is make the caregiver feel guilty for the child's illness. You should also physically examine the child. This includes obtaining a full measurement of vital signs, paying attention to the quality and rhythm of the child's apical pulse, observing their respiratory status. Do you see the child using their accessory muscles to breathe? Do you see any retractions when the child respirates? Auscultate breath sounds, assess their respiratory rate. Also assess how the child cries. Examine the child's skin and extremities for color, skin temperature, and for the presence of edema. When you examine the child's skin, is it pale? Is it blue? Is their skin cold? Also note if the child is easily fatigued. Here are some common nursing diagnoses for children with CHF. But of course, every nursing diagnosis should be individualized and tailored to your patient. So there is decreased cardiac output. This could be related to a structural defect or decreased cardiac functioning. As the nurse, you may also diagnose the child with ineffective breathing pattern. This may be related to pulmonary congestion or the child having anxiety because of how the illness is causing their body to feel. Risk for imbalanced nutrition, less than what the body needs. Remember we said that CHF may cause the child to tire easily during feedings. So this nursing diagnosis may be related to fatigue or dyspnea. Which brings us to the next common nursing diagnosis. Activity intolerance. Remember, in congestive heart failure, the heart isn't able to pump and circulate enough blood to body cells and tissues. And if blood isn't reaching tissues adequately, neither is oxygen. So the child's activity intolerance may be related to insufficient oxygen. We may also diagnose the child's family with deficient knowledge of the child's illness. Next in the nursing process is outcome planning. What changes do we want to see in our patient after we implement nursing care? Major goals of nursing care for the child with congestive heart failure include improving cardiac output and oxygenation, relieving the child's labored respirations. We want the child to maintain an adequate nutritional intake and conserve energy. For the family, we would like to increase their knowledge of the condition and its prognosis. And remember that planned outcomes should always be realistic and individualized to meet the needs of the patient you are caring for. Okay, so finally the fun part. After we've planned outcomes, the next step of the nursing process would require us to implement some nursing procedures to help our patient meet those goals. So our first intervention would be to monitor vital signs. We want to monitor the client's vital signs regularly to detect any symptoms of decreased cardiac output. Monitoring the child's pulse rate is especially important before administering digoxin. Before administering digoxin, you always want to count the child's apical pulse for a full minute. Withhold the digoxin and notify the physician if the child's pulse is lower than normal. So this would be lower than 90 beats per minute for infants and lower than 70 beats per minute for older children. Also, always check the dosage of digoxin with another nurse before administering it. After administering it, observe the child for any signs of digoxin toxicity, such as nausea, anorexia, vomiting, bradycardia, or an irregular pulse. As far as weights, you want to weigh the child early in the morning, undressed, before their first meal for a more accurate measurement. Of course, you should use the same scale each time you weigh the child. Record the child's daily intake and output as carefully as possible. And if diuretics are ordered, monitor the child's potassium levels. So now let's go over some interventions we can implement to improve the child's respiratory function. To improve respiratory function, the nurse should elevate the head of the crib mattress to a 30 to 45 degree angle. Make sure the child doesn't slide downward in the crib and become scrunched up, because this could decrease the amount of room the lung has to expand when the child breathes. And for the same reason, there should be no constrictive clothing on the child. administer oxygen as prescribed. It's also important to monitor the child's respirations at least every 4 hours. So this includes observing for dyspnea, tachypnea, retractions, and listening to breath sounds. Continue to examine the child's skin for cyanosis. Pay close attention to the color of their nail beds, lips, around the mouth, hands, and feet. Monitor oxygen saturation levels and respiratory infections. Respiratory infections can be a major concern for children with CHF because these are children that are already experiencing decreased respiratory function. They also have an increased susceptibility to infection, so it's important that they have no exposure to people that have a respiratory infection. In addition to those safety precautions, make sure you are monitoring the child for signs and symptoms of infection. Be sure that you are taking their temperature and reporting any new findings. There are several ways we can improve and maintain the child's nutritional intake while still keeping in mind that the child tires easily during feedings. We can give the child small, frequent feedings. For the infant, they should be given a bottle with a soft nipple and a large opening. This way, they can receive the nutrition they need without the workload of taking the bottle. To conserve energy, we want to plan nursing care in a way that will allow the child to get long periods of rest without much interruption. When implementing nursing procedures, talk to the child softly. Handle him or her with care. Crying can tire the child out, so when he or she cries, try to respond to them as quickly as you possibly can. Our next intervention is to provide the child's family with teaching. Increasing the family's knowledge about the child's illness requires a lot of communication and reassurance. The child's family may be anxious or even fearful about what their child is going through, which is completely understandable. So, as the nurse, try to be compassionate and empathetic toward the family because no one wants to see their child or loved one sick. Also, maintain a non-judgmental environment whenever you're communicating with the family. You want to create that trusting relationship because you want the family to feel comfortable enough to come to you about their concerns. Make sure you explain congestive heart failure to the family in a way that they can understand. No medical talk. Repeat information about signs and symptoms as well as treatment as much as possible. Reinforce teaching about the child's medication regimen, feeding techniques, as well as expectations about growth and development. Of course, if the child has congestive heart failure as a result of a heart defect, you should be discussing with the family future plans to correct that defect. And pretty much just keep the family involved in the child's care as much as possible, but all the while still being mindful of the child's limitations. Okay, so we've made it to the final part of the nursing process. This step would require us to evaluate our patient. So let's discuss what we'd want to see in our patient after we've carried out all nursing interventions relevant to their condition, starting with improved cardiac output. We would like to see that the child's heart rate is within normal limits, him or her is free from arrhythmia, and that the child is maintaining adequate peripheral perfusion. And some signs that peripheral perfusion is adequate would include their skin color being normal to their ethnicity, cap refill being less than 3 seconds, their pulse oximetry reading would be within normal limits, and if the child's peripheral perfusion is adequate, there would also be no evidence of edema. Okay, so next is improved respiratory function. If this goal has been reached, we'll see that the child's respirations are normal and that there are no retractions. Breath sounds will be clear upon auscultation, and the child's oxygen saturation levels will be within an acceptable range. We also planned that the child would maintain an adequate nutritional intake. Our expected outcome for this goal is that the child consumes most of their meals and feeds without tiring much. We'd also like to see that the child has appropriate weight gain for his or her age. The next goal that we want to evaluate is increased energy levels. Our expected outcomes for this goal is that the child is resting quietly during periods of rest and that they don't get overly tired when they are awake. Okay, and the last goal that we want to see achieved is that the family or caregiver is prepared for home care. Some indications that this goal has been achieved: the family openly verbalizes their anxieties and concerns, they're asking questions, discussing the child's condition, and they're actively participating in the child's care. Alright, ladies and gents, that brings this video to an end. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Remember to never give up, and as always, thanks for watching.